both my daughters' hands went to their mouths and they were like, Mama, you're on the cover of Vogue? Hi Vogue, this is Sarah Jessica Parker, and this is a fraction of my life in looks. Every single thing on me is from a vintage store, with the exception of whatever's in my hair, and apologies for that. I did it that day. I'm sure there was a diffuser involved and some 10X. We can talk about that on another, my master class in hair from what would this be, 85, 86 maybe? I don't recognize this person. I don't understand the sunglasses in particular. I think they're awful on me. I think, once again, it's not the fault of the glasses. The earrings are a mystery to me. I don't know if I saw that like in a movie from 1947. The period at the end of the sentence is the peace necklace. She showed up in a lot. I mean, I didn't take her off. And I used to sign everything, like if somebody asked me for my signature, I always signed Wage Peace, love, Sarah Jessica. Anyway, I still have that necklace. I think there's a whole interesting conversation about influence and a collective kind of thing that happens without influence. And I'd been shopping at thrift shops for a long time, just like on my own because it was a necessity. You know, Madonna and Cyndi Lauper hadn't surfaced, but I was wearing like big rayon dresses from the 40s. Like that's just what I did. So this dress is a Donna Karan dress that I know. Once again, I'm not making excuses, but like I would never wear this dress. Like I would never wear this dress. But I am wearing this dress, and I know that that's me, and I cannot pretend that it's anybody else. Like, it's a perfectly constructed dress. The idea of it was amazing. It is Carrie in that moment, but even that, I don't think is entirely Carrie. I think there's another dress that is as kind of body conscious as this one, but feels more so Carrie. This dress is sort of like its own, to me, it's like its own universe, and it kind of like moves around. Like, it's just very interesting to me. And the shoes are probably Manolo, is my guess, typically. Yes, I'm familiar with this outfit. What can I tell you? What do you want to know? Because it's not me, really. This is Carrie. A lot of people claim they have the tutu. I think Pat has one. Michael Patrick has one. We just used one. So my guess is that sequence required a splash, that there were probably 4, 5, or 6. These were Jimmy Choo shoes, I'm pretty confident. This was a tank top, you know, a nothing tank top. We didn't do a lot of takes. We rehearsed it, we timed it, as you do, you know, you kind of get all the pieces together without, you know, adding the liquid, you know, like that's kind of how you do it, and then you go for it, and I think we got it done probably in 1 or 2 takes. When you're doing a scene where you're getting splashed or you're falling into, say, a lake in Central Park, you have to find something that has multiples. So, but it can't just simply be multiples. It has to be artistically, sartorially, like it has to fit a lot of criteria. So my guess is that Pat and I, as we always did, talked about a bunch of choices. And at the end of the day, this is where we landed. Tank top, tutu, and heels. So there were a lot of these, which explains why people all claim to have. I don't think I have. Do I have a tutu? I do. So I have it. Should have just cut to the chase. Where is it? Who's got it? I've got it. Turn the page. You bored yet? All the flower pins are in my possession. They went to, and just like that, they went back into Carrie's closet. There are pins, there are non-pins, there are flowers on, you know, a bobby pin, and I have some of my own, and I still have a little drawer in my own closet that's just sentimental. I wear them sometimes, or I stick them in my hair. I'll stick them on a bun. I'm very happy with that. Mr. De La Renta made this for me. I love this dress, and yes, I wouldn't wear feathers today. My favorite memory is himself. Always so invested and always cared and always took care of details, but also just like always smelled good, looked good, knew how to kind of be in a salon very old-fashioned ideas about a client and a customer. And this was Laura Mercier makeup. These were Fred Leighton earrings, which were such a big deal for me to borrow. But what I remember so much about this night was that after the awards were over, when we came back and people were gathered and eating, and Laura Mercier said to me, 24-hour guarantee before I left. She was always like, 24-hour guarantee. And I was like, she's right. It was hours and hours and hours and hours later, and my makeup was still like, I love this. I think I've seen criticism of it. Enjoy, have fun. This was like a SAG award event, I think. This was Prada. You get to borrow something you like, you think it speaks to you at a moment, in a place, in a time, for an event, and you wear it, and maybe some people think you don't look amazing, and that's certainly their right. I think the difference is that we all walk out the door every single day. Most of us try to make a choice that makes us feel good or like ourselves or appropriate for where we're going or who we're gonna be with. We don't walk up to each other and say things like, oh, awful. So what's so funny to me about this is like how much chatter it provokes, because I'm like, but it's just a thing. It's just an outfit that happened because that person liked it. So what's the point of the criticism? We're all just kind of like making an attempt every day to offer ourselves up to another person. I can tell you everything that I can know about this outfit. Okay, that is not a real Hermes bag, just so you know. Pat like had a person. And she was like, do you want one? I can get you one. And no, I don't really, I don't need one. But this isn't real. The dress is real. The dress is real and it's juicy couture. Super pregnant, did our very best to look how big that bag is. I mean, that bag had one job to do and did it very poorly. Maybe if it was a real Hermes bag, it would have done a better job. Colors I typically wouldn't wear, very bold. I didn't really get to dress that much as myself when I was pregnant because I was working so much of the time when I was pregnant, but when I was, in my own life pregnant, I mostly wore overalls. This cover, I don't even think I'm fit to comment on it. It's a cover of Vogue. Stephen Meisel. Well, we were, post September 11th, so we were all different. I had a child. I probably was just living more civilian. I was probably attempting to live, I'd taken a little bit of time off, and I'm a New Yorker, so life was like a New Yorker's, Christides, etc. This last shot of Sex and the City, I remember this day so well. I brought that scarf from home, Pat loved it. That shoe we wore a lot in a bunch of silhouettes. That's a Manolo red, sort of like more, almost like it's barely red. It's like vermilion / going into like tomato. Carrie was a much more courageous dresser than I am, much more fevered relationship with fashion, much more indulgent. I kind of am much more of an observer most of the time, and then occasionally I get to dip in and like participate. Like I wouldn't have been so brave, like I wouldn't have shown so much, but that's not a judgment, it's just different. I just want to say that this day, I didn't read this last scene until I was on my way to the set because I did not want to know how the show ended. And only when I read the last page did I see John called. And that was the first time the name was revealed to me, like, I'm gonna say 6 minutes before they called action. This is Annie Leibovitz for sure, and I'll tell you why I know. Annie always likes hair that way. I'm much more inclined to simply fit into what has been in her brain because she does so much prep. She really goes into a space ahead of time. She's there for 2 or 3 days. She has such specific ideas about pillows and fabric and lights and stacks and layers and dimension. Like we feel it is our job to figure out where we fit into like the tableau. And I say that with respect and admiration and a huge amount of personal pride that I have had so many experiences with her. And I work as hard now as I did the first time. Like I won't stop trying. I almost can't talk about it. I loved this so much. It's been made clear to me that not everybody felt the same way about this dress, which maybe makes me feel even more affection for it. The bird, I'm not gonna repeat the bird story. I think everybody knows the bird story, but The conversation was this bird. I saw it and I thought it was magnificent. What was so crazy to me about this were the colors. Like the colors are, especially in person, like you can't tell. We knew how we felt about it, and it, like many things, it didn't have, like we couldn't throw ourselves in front of the court and make a really reasoned argument. Like we had every possibility of losing the case. Didn't share or discuss with Michael Patrick King in advance, which was, not fair. It was a little bit of an ambush. And when I came to the set, he was like, "Why is there a bird on your head?" And I was like, look at the bird. You would have made the same decision. Of course, he argued against, and he wins a lot for good reason. Like there's a whole thing that's happening always in his head. He knows stuff that I don't know often, which I don't want to know, but we won. And then of course he put it in. I think later on she was like, I had a bird on my head. Zach Posen made this dress for the ballet. Love this dress. Absolutely, this fabric, you can't do right by it in a picture, was like, had a switch inside it. Love these shoes. These shoes are called Rogue, SJP collection. They're a beautiful shoe. They're a comfortable shoe. They're gorgeous, and they're naughty. See, there's this color Rish, and there's this color Candy or Fuchsia. I loved everything about it. I loved that night, and it was for the ballet, so that was a big deal for the New York City Ballet. Annie Leibovitz, my husband and I, 2 years ago, shooting for Vogue to talk about Plaza Suite, which I'm running to rehearsal in about 15 minutes to go rehearse. This is inside the Hudson Theater, I think the oldest theater on Broadway, redone. Annie at her fastest though, like this was a fast shoot inside that theater, and my handsome husband. Hey. What's Carrie shuffling around? And during the darkest days of the pandemic, when it didn't matter and she had to run to the deli or run to Smiler's or grab something, and what did she throw on her feet that she could wear with a tube sock or a woolen sock or tights or naked or bare, whatever. This was written because of one of the writer's own personal stories about when they were smoking and trying not to be seen smoking. They put actually on a hoodie, zipped all the way up, with the hood like super tight around their face, and they wore Playtex kitchen, dish gloves and big sunglasses because they didn't want to be seen by their neighbors, but they would only walk around smoking. And I was like, I get what you want, but it's not a hoodie. And it's something else. So I love this Bathsheba gingham house coat, and I was like, well, let's do this version of that. And then we found these 3 vintage scarves, and I just started piling. Oh, this is like yesterday. Fernando and Laura for Oscar de la Renta. And this dress has such an interesting, quick story because this pink wasn't there initially. There was other tulle, and as we had these couple of fittings, this evolved into this. All the embroidery, the sequins were all done out of the country. It was a big deal, and he did it so fast, and I just think it's a perfect dress. Absolutely perfect. I loved it. This is me going to work downtown. These are all my own clothes from my closet. This is an old dress that I found at a thrift shop. It's kind of basically like a dirndl, and I love it because I can wear anything underneath it. This is an old shirt that I got from a thrift shop that I love, but I cut off the collar because it's too high for me. This is a purchase of mine. This is Ulla Johnson, and I love this coat so freaking much. These are socks that I've had for a really long time that Gucci gave me years ago, but I just keep wearing them. This is our shoe, our SJP collection shoe that's file or grosgrain, the entire body is, and it's called Lady. And she's a classic, she's an evergreen. I like wearing whatever I like, and I tend to not worry too much about if it matches. And the mask is not okay. I love this cover, and I can't tell you why specifically, except I'll just say one thing about it, which I think is so interesting, is that when Sergio and Anna sent it over early, like a couple days before, well, what we thought was going to be its proper release, I showed it to my daughters, which I never do anything like that. Magazines aren't as much a part of their life as might have been when I was their age. I was like, girls, I have to show you something, and I pulled it out. And both my daughters' hands went to their mouths, and they were like, Mama, you're on the cover of Vogue? I didn't know that they were aware of Vogue magazine, but they live in New York, they walk to school every day, they see all the kiosks, they're in the world, like of course they know. Like, we don't sit around and talk about that. So that was very touching to me. I was so tickled by how it was so innocent and unknowing and not ruined. Then my daughter Tabitha says, which this blew my mind. She said, Mama, there's no writing on that magazine. Usually it's so busy. I had not said a word. I was like, I thought that was so interesting that she recognized, which to me was the thing that was so extraordinary about this cover, was it's like not concerned. It's all ego in the best possible way to me, meaning like everybody on the editorial side was like, yeah, we don't have to put anything else here. It's not about me. This is about their own ability to create image and know what to do on a cover of a magazine, which I don't know what to do, but it's striking in its absolute bareness. Like, that's what I think is one of the amazing things. And the photographer was amazing that day, and it was just an amazing shoot, you know, shoved in the middle of a crazy schedule, and I feel super, super lucky. Looks a lot different than I used to. Each piece. I'm sure I did like a thing too, right? All sorts of new and old in here. And that was just a little bit of my life in looks. Oh, thanks, Vogue. See you next time. Really? You're gonna have me back?